Hi and welcome to the Malat cookery channel. So this video is an update on how to make really decent doner kebab meat at home. Okay, so I've recently done a video making doner kebab meat. I think it's probably the last video that was uploaded to the Malat YouTube cookery channel. In that video, really, I was testing out the little meat grinder which I just purchased, rather than going through a sort of detailed video on how to make doner kebab meat. It was just that was a recipe I wanted to try with that meat grinder. I had quite a few messages of people asking if I could do an update and go into a little bit more detail with regard to making the doner kebab meat, so that's what this video is all about. There are quite a few things that I've learned over, I think it's about 2 years since I started making doner kebab meat, and I want to put everything that I've learned in this particular video. So the first thing, trying to compete with takeaways that sell doner kebabs and trying to replicate that doner kebab meat at home, is that the takeaway doner kebab meat is about 60% fat. There's a lot of fat in that meat and there's a lot of salt as well. And obviously at home, what we want to do is we want to replicate as near as we can do what the takeaways sell, but make it much healthier. Otherwise there's really no point in doing it. So first thing is we want to reduce the fat content, and secondly is we want to reduce the salt. Well, we can reduce the salt without having any detrimental effect. I don't know why there's so much salt in doner kebab meat that's sold by takeaways. With regard to the fat, we've got a problem, because the reason there's such a high fat content in doner kebab meat that's sold in the takeaways is it gives the meat a lot of elasticity and a smoothness to the meat, which we're all familiar with. When we reduce the fat content, then we are at risk of the meat drying out and just becoming less elastic. And I've learned over the last 2 years, there is a point at which there's almost like a point of no return. You go below a certain percentage of fat, and the meat, although it tastes the same, it really doesn't have the same structure. So the video I've just put out, so it'd be the last video that was uploaded to the YouTube channel. I was really, as I said, I was just testing out the meat grinder, and the meat that went into that particular doner kebab was 10% fat. Although it turned out okay, there was a marked difference between that finished meat and obviously the meat we buy from the takeout. So 10% fat is definitely not the way forward. This video is all about producing as near as we possibly can to the takeout doner kebab meat. So there's 3 important things with regard to that. One is the flavour. Well, we've got that sauced with the Malat doner kebab seasoning. That just makes the taste perfect. The second thing is obviously the fat content, which gives us that texture and elasticity. I think we can personally go down to maybe 30% fat. You go any less than that and you do risk it drying out. So what will happen is you'll produce a really nice flavour to doner kebab meat, but it'll be so dry that it kind of a little bit off-putting. So in this particular video, I'm going for about 30-35% fat. And the third thing is processing the meat. So placing the meat either in a food processor to try and blend the meat as much as we can, or through a meat grinder. And we want to get a consistency almost like sausage meat. If we just use mince purchased from the shop, it'll have the structure will be too loose. Other considerations which really do help, one is what we use to carve the meat once we've cooked it, and I found an old-fashioned electric knife is perfect for it. That sort of backwards and forwards action of the 2 blades helps to keep the structure of the knife. Or you could use a really sharp knife to carve it, but make sure that if you do use just a standard knife, it is really sharp. And then the other thing is, don't overcook the meat. What will happen is you'll add the meat which has got a sort of a higher fat content than you would normally use. You'll put it in the oven. If you overcook it, what will happen is that fat will actually just drain from the meat and it just become dry again. So it's really crucial not to overcook this meat. So the quantities I use for a kilo of meat, I'm looking at between 50 minutes and an hour, no longer than that. The spice blend we're going to be using from the Malat range is obviously their Doner Kebab seasoning. And as usual, I'll list a full list of ingredients at the end of the video. So let's have a look at those ingredients now and anything else we're going to need for today. So the equipment we're going to need for today, we just need something that will process the meat to almost like a sausage meat consistency. So I'm using this meat grinder. Previous to this, I was using a food processor, which did very well. So if you haven't got a meat grinder, use a food processor. I've also heard of people using electric hand blenders. Not sure how successful they are, but as long as it gets the meat to like a sausage meat consistency, then that's all you need. So the ingredients for today, I've got a kilo of meat in total, and I just prefer a mixture of beef and lamb. The vast majority of doner kebabs that are sold in the UK to takeaways are a mixture of beef and lamb. Even if the takeaway told you that it's 100% lamb, chances are it's got beef and lamb mixed in. 500 grams of beef, ground beef, 500 grams of minced lamb. These are 20% fat, so I'm just going to boost that fat content a little bit with some beef dripping or shortening. So I'm going to be placing 50 grams of beef dripping into the mixture. I'm going to melt this in the microwave first so it's in liquid form, so that when we mix it in, it's going to mix in thoroughly. We don't get any lumps of fat before we cook it. I've got 38 grams of Malat Doner Kebab seasoning, teaspoon of salt, and 1 medium free-range egg which has been beaten. So our first job is to process this mince even further. As I said, get it to that sausage meat consistency. So I'm going to be passing it through this grinder at least once. I'll see what it looks like after the first grind, and if it needs anything further, I'll put it through again. So the next thing to do once we process the meat is to mix all the ingredients in. So this is our Doner Kebab seasoning, a teaspoon of salt, medium free-range egg, and this is our beef dripping or shortening, and that's taken about 30 seconds on full power in the microwave. And then it's just a case of getting your hand in and mixing this up as much as you possibly can. The better you get these ingredients combined, the better obviously the end product is going to be. So once we've got all our ingredients combined, the next thing to do is we're going to be making a Doner Kebab Christmas cracker, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So I've got our ingredients combined, and I've got a small bowl with a little bit of vegetable oil in there. Going to be, whether you're using gloves or just your hands, it's really important to get some oil on your hands because this is quite a sticky mixture. It just makes it a lot easier to work with. I'm going to take our mixture, and what we're basically going to do here is turn this into a cylindrical shape and also try and compact it as much as we can so we don't have any air pockets in the centre. Okay, so once we've got that and you're happy with it, place that into the centre of the foil, and just make sure that the piece of foil you've got will actually wrap all the way around. If it won't, just elongate the shape a little bit. Okay, that's better. So I said about this Christmas cracker, we just want to turn the end in and tighten that up. Turn this end in and tighten that up. And then I'm just going to roll this to get it back into shape. Okay, so this, now it's shaped, this is going into an oven-proof tray just to stop any fat that leaks out from going onto the oven. That tray is going in the centre of the preheated oven, 180 degrees centigrade, as I said before, between 50 minutes and an hour, and seam side up as well. Right, so this is what we've got after 55 minutes in the oven. I'm going to let this rest now for about 10 minutes before I even attempt to cut it up. Right, so I've just started carving this using old-fashioned electric knife. It'd be good if you could watch the previous video to this where I really just experimenting with the meat grinder, but you'll see a comparison between 10% fat and what we've used here, which is basically about 25% fat. The difference is incredible. So with regard to this particular doner kebab piece, you've got a much more dense structure to the meat. It's a lot smoother, less crumbly. The taste is still there, it's absolutely fantastic, but it's the same texture that you would get in a takeaway. So I think this just proves that the fat content within the meat itself is absolutely crucial to getting the right texture. So with regard to carving, this is my preferred way. So I've got a plate, a bowl turned upside down. That just allows the knife to go all the way to the bottom, so it's a sort of a nice carving platform. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay some of these cut pieces out on a baking tray. I'm going to baste the pieces with some of the meat juices that are still in the foil, and then they're going to go under a hot grill for about a minute or so just to brown up, because that's exactly what you'd get from the takeaway, because obviously this is on a vertical rotisserie being cooked all the time. Okay, so these are our doner kebab pieces basted with that juice out of the foil, ready to go under that hot grill. There you go, done, ready to go on a kebab. The complete guide to making your own doner kebab meat at home. Some of the things in the video, not my idea. They've come from the subscribers to the channel who have either commented below videos that I've done in the past on doner kebab meat, or they private message me. So thank you for that. That's exactly what I wanted this YouTube channel to be. Not just me giving recipe ideas, but also receiving a lot of good tips so I can learn as well. Please subscribe to the channel, and as usual, if you've enjoyed this particular video, hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.